The last piece we're going to talk about with categorical variables is using bar graphs to compare distributions and describe the nature of the association between two categorical variables. So we've already looked at how to create bar graphs, and you've also done some research on what makes good versus bad bar graphs. But we're going to look at two different other kinds of bar graphs. So we're going to have a side-by-side bar graph. This displays the distribution of a categorical variable for each value of another categorical variable, because remember, we're looking at two variables, not just one. And the bars are grouped together based on the values of one of the categorical variables and placed side by side. Another one is a segmented bar graph. It displays the distribution of a categorical variable as the segments of a rectangle, with the area of each segment proportional to the percent of individuals in the corresponding category. So, using the data from the snowmobile use and if they're in the environmental club, here's our side-by-side bar graph. So we have it grouped by membership of the club, no they're not a member, or yes they are a member. And then the height of each rectangle is the percent of people who never use a snowmobile, rent a snowmobile, or own one based on their membership of the club. So similarly, the segmented bar graph is, again, I've divided it up between not a member and yes a member, but now instead of displaying the three types of snowmobile usage side by side, they're actually stacked on top of each other. And notice I'm doing the same order. I have the bottom parts of the bars are never rented or never used. The red is they rent them, and the green is that they own them. Notice that both bars reach up to 100%. The area of each color is the percent that answered that in that manner. So the height of this bar of no membership is the same as this blue over here. Similarly with the red and with the green. They're just stacked on top of each other to reach 100%. Both of these could be used whenever you're trying to describe relationships between the variables. There's not really a good, bad, or better situation. So it's up to you and whether you're given particular directions. So there is an association between two variables if knowing the value of one variable helps us predict the value of the other. So here we have the relationship or the distribution of the snowmobile use. And we see that there is an association on this first graph. Let me go ahead and pull up the other one. This second graph here, this was just made up. You see how they're all the areas are about the same? This doesn't mean there really is no association. So knowing that they're not a member or they are a member didn't really change the proportion that never used a snowmobile. However, in the actual data that we were using, the top segmented bar graph, there is an association. I see that people who are typically answering yes, they are in the environmental club, they tend to not use snowmobiles, right? That's what you're looking for an association. Now, do remember that just because there's an association, that does not necessarily imply causation. Just because I may say I'm a member of the environmental club does not necessarily mean that I am eco-friendly and would never use a snowmobile for that particular example.